opposition side is Yu Jung-mi. Give her a hand.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have gathered here for a policy debate on the motion, this House would require tech training for all students. As the first speaker of the proposition side, I will first define some terms in the motion. The term require means that tech training would be made mandatory to learn at schools by the United Nations Science and Technology for Development Division. The term tech training can be defined as computer training, which includes internet learning and computer programs education. The term all students can be defined as students attending middle schools through high schools worldwide, both public and private schools. Moving on, I will now introduce our team's policy. The policy is that this House would make it so that the UN Science and Technology for Development Division, along with financial support from various international organizations, would require schools to implement tech training classes with the objective of teaching students to manipulate computer-related materials and tools with techniques. The choice of what to teach of computer-related materials would not be strictly enforced by the UN division. However, schools must provide training on internet learning and basic computer tools for students. This flexibility would enable the policy to meet the different needs and interests of each student. Also, the donations and fundings from UN Conference on Trade and Development and UN Environment Program Center would make it possible for this policy to be implemented into all regions of the world. This policy is already put into action in 2003 by the UN, and it has the practicality for advanced material. As the first speaker, I will point out the necessity of the policy, and second speaker, Daewon, will explain the practicality and the benefits. And our team's last speaker, Jin, will provide rebuttals and summarize our team's main points. Now, I will move up to explain our first point in depth, the necessity of such policy. First of all, nowadays, students are living in a globalized, information-oriented world. Following the third wave, which is after the Industrial Revolution, is the technology revolution. And due to this change, various information and technologies were adapted to many sectors of the world. In the center of such change is computer-related technology, because every information, I repeat, every information lies in the word internet worldwide. Thus, every advanced private enterprises and government sectors are run by these technologies. It can be said that computers play an essential role in the information age. Therefore, it is inevitable for the future leading and growing students who are about to enter the technology competitive world to learn these computer-related skills. For these students will be leading their countries in the near future. Requiring tech training for students is necessary because not only such training will give the students a better understanding of today's world, but also prepare them for their future, as well as help them develop problem-solving strategies and work habits that will be useful in almost any career or occupation. Moreover, if we do not give the students a chance to get in touch with these information in their younger age, they wouldn't have a chance to get interested in them or develop their skills. And as they grow up, it'll be harder and harder to teach them. It'll be much effective and beneficial to teach them right now. And these needs prove that this policy must be passed. Now, Daewon will explain the practicality and the benefits next. Thank you.
Okay, Imutek is going to be the first speaker for the off side. Let's give him a hand.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As the first speaker of the opposition side, I will first refute some assertions of the proposition side, and I will introduce first sub-argument of the first argument. Our second speaker, Eunhae, will cover the rest of the argument. To rebut the prop side's ideas, first, it is too impractical to say that they will provide all computers to all countries, even to some poor countries like Africa. And secondly, they say that if they don't teach computer in schools, that the students will not gain interest in computer. But it is not true because we are all doing computer at our home. Before we move on to our argument, I would like to provide some broad overview of the motion. To explain the case theme first, our team understands the usefulness of computers, but we say that computer education is counterproductive regardless of whether it is fundamental education or a profound one. Firstly, let me explain the status quo. In many developed countries, including South Korea, Japan, and US, computer education is required to students of a certain grade. The degree of education includes fundamental education on basic uses of computer and professional education of subjects like Photoshop or HTML language. However, both fundamental and professional education are ineffective and counterproductive. Elementary education, firstly, is needless in that most students in developed nations have these kinds of knowledge before they enter the school. Professional education is also pointless, for not all students would use the knowledge in the future. For instance, if students would not become someone like web designers, HTML language would be useless. In spite of this negative aspect of the status quo, what the proposition side are asserting is just a widened version of the status quo. They say they would require this pointless education to all students throughout the world, even to students in poor countries who are dying at this very moment desperately needing food and shelter rather than how to make their homepages.
Point of information, sir.
Sorry. Now I'll go on to our constructive argument. Our first argument is that the policy is totally unnecessary. This will be divided into two sub-arguments. I will explain why elementary computer education is needless, and the second speaker in here will prove why professional education is also unnecessary. According to the Ministry of Intelligence and Trade in South Korea, internet use rate for children of 6 to 19 is 97.5%, and their average computer using time is 14.9 hours a week. For most developed or nearly developed countries have higher rate of computer usage during childhood years. Most of children know basic computer skills before they enter the school. Hence, during computer class, for fundamental education is too easy for them. Students play games or do nothing in the class. This is a total waste of time. And for people of poor countries, for they need food rather than computer skills, basic education is also needless. Nextly, our second speaker in here will explain the rest of the argument. Thank you.